This week's edition of NJBIA's Minding Your Business is brought to you in part by AT&T, helping family, friends, and neighbors connect in meaningful ways every day. PPAC Gladstone Bank, known nationally and in New Jersey for providing unparalleled client service, integrity, and trust for over 100 years. New Jersey's community colleges, aligning education to build an innovative workforce. Find out how your business can benefit at njpathways.org. And by New Jersey Business Magazine, providing critical information needs for New Jersey's business community for more than 66 years.
Welcome to NJBIA's Minding Your Business. I'm Bob Considine. Well, New Jersey lawmakers will be returning from their summer recess soon, and a lame duck session lurks after Election Day. Here to discuss what it might mean for New Jersey's business community is NJBIA President and CEO Michele Siekerka. Michele, thank you so much for being back on the show. It's been a while.
Always a pleasure, Bob.
All right, so before we kind of look forward, let's look back to the budget. Governor signed a $54.3 billion budget right at the start of the summer. I wanted to get your take on the budget overall and how the business community in New Jersey was served by it.
So there were definitely some wins for the business community. First and foremost, the sunset of the CBT. Now, it doesn't sunset until December 31st.
Right.
But what's important is that the money for the surcharge, right, that 2.5% is not included in the budget. Therefore,
right.
The money's not there, so
right.
It can't be raised from that. Therefore,
exactly.
We assume that it sunsets at that time. We'll need to mine that in lame duck. I know we'll come back.
Yeah, we'll come back to that.
But there was also some other critical corporate tax reform that our own Chris Emmaholtz and our great GA team
yes.
Were dynamos over this past year.
Right.
And people don't realize over a year, Chris really started working with Treasury over a year ago on those issues. And I know Chris has talked to you about those.
Yeah.
So kudos to the team on tax reform.
Right.
There were some other wins in the budget. We got a third-year appropriation for workforce development, and that is our partnership with the New Jersey Council of Community Colleges on New Jersey Career Pathways.
Yep, they're on the show often here.
And critical, it's critical work. And what's really excited about this is we just built momentum, and it takes time. Like we're in the flywheel, right? And so we need that continuing funding to make sure that we can get that job done. So kudos on that. We also saw investment in infrastructure, and we also saw investment in manufacturing. So those are some good high points.
Okay, what were the lower points for you?
Well, you said the amount, okay? A $54 billion budget is really, frankly, we're scared it's not sustainable.
Right.
And once you let that cat out of the bag, it's really hard to put it back in. We would love to say, okay, if you said this was a one-time big spend because we had extra money in it, great. However, we do have about an $8 billion surplus, give or take, okay? So this is probably more like a 2-year budget. I feel incredibly worried for the next governor coming in 2025 because that's when we're going to be out of all this money.
Yeah. And
that governor's going to come in and they're really going to have to make some dramatic changes in how we do business relative to our operating budget here in the state of New Jersey.
Okay, so let's go back to the positive for one moment. The CBT, corporate business tax surtax, 2.5% surtax. So the CBT rate will effectively go from 11.5% to 9%. You mentioned the CBT legislation, which is a little confusing, but it will help our companies with international buildings across the world. I'm wondering, what will that mean for those companies? What kind of savings are we dealing with here?
Oh, hundreds of millions of dollars, all
really?
in. It's a lot of money. But why is this important? There was a lot of banter going into the budget, the final budget session, around that this was corporate giveaway. Corporate greed, they should pay their fair share.
Yeah.
They've been paying their fair share. Okay, 11.5% was the largest by far in the entire country. And what I like to say, Bob, is, we're 50 states.
Right.
If we were 53 states, we still would have been 55th on that graph. That's how much of an outlier we were. At 9%, we are still fourth highest in the nation.
Highest.
This is all about driving competitiveness, particularly in this region. Our neighbor to the west, Pennsylvania, is starting to drive their CBD down to less than 5%. We need to be competitive with them. So we're hoping that this was step one in a more comprehensive plan, and we're already on work with a roadmap to New Jersey's economic future. We will try to advocate for some additional relief in that area.
Okay, and one more thing looking back before we look forward. Small business in the budget, did they get enough?
No. No. So historically, what's happened with small businesses, we've seen some pots of money. Thank you, Governor Murphy, and you do like to say about $1 billion of COVID relief, right? But that money was very prescriptive. It was in small buckets, and it was very targeted to who could appreciate.
Yeah.
We still have not had any comprehensive relief for small business. Where did we have opportunity? Unemployment Insurance Trust Fund.
Yep.
Okay, we could have put some money in that to save a third year in a row of that tax increase.
Sure.
And that's a tax on jobs per employee, okay? All small business feels that. How about property tax relief? We had the Anchor program and then the Senior Freeze program. That's really good for New Jersey's economy. I'm not knocking it. We're making investment there because we're the highest property tax in the nation. Problem is, business community pays almost 50% of property tax. They don't get one penny of that.
Yeah.
There was no relief for property tax for New Jersey's small business. So just two really quick examples of where we could have made some leeway to bring some comprehensive relief to small business that we missed.
How about in terms of, first of all, looking ahead, is that something NJBIA is going to be working towards? Will there be efforts to maybe get UI relief or small property tax relief?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Those things are definitely at the top of our proactive agenda. And look, we have monthly meetings with the governor's office, and these are the agenda items that we discuss. The doors have been slammed in our face. Look, I think the door's open about that wide on UI, be honest, right? But a girl can wish, a girl can dream, and I'm not going to walk away from that crack, and hopefully we can push it open a little bit more.
I mean, if you think about the CBT, just going back to that, governor's office, as you mentioned, as you noted, faced a lot of pushback on that, and he did stick with not having, letting that CBT surtax onto it.
Understood the ROI on it for New Jersey's economy and New Jersey's larger companies who do choose, unfortunately, too many days in a row to out-migrate from New Jersey.
How about in terms of, you've been doing this Year of the Small Business Owner, Year of the Business Owner. What are you hearing? I mean, would that kind of relief help them? Are you hearing that from their businesses? Always.
Every dollar matters, especially in an inflationary environment, which we still have. Look, that has leveled out, thank goodness. We can all take bets on whether or not we'll see a recession, down the line, as I like to say, is the longest published recession we've ever seen in our history, right?
Good point.
But we seem to keeping our head above that water. But every dollar matters. Look, wages have increased, skyrocketed since COVID. We always said the market will dictate what an entry-level position is. Well, it has, and frankly, $15 is the basement, not even the floor anymore, right? So competitive wages, the ability to continue to provide good, robust benefits when the cost of healthcare continues to go up. Again, their supply chain, the cost of their products and services skyrockets, and therefore their ability to deliver their product or service has become more expensive as well.
All right, so the legislature is going to return in a matter of days and weeks. What are you expecting in terms of their action? What will they be doing? Will it be quiet to Election Day?
So I think it'll be, they're going to be out taking care of addressing their constituent concerns over the next few weeks. It's interesting, some of the news that's been coming out of the State House recently on how they're trying to talk to their base, if you will, right? So we're going to see a lot of that. Once Election Day comes and goes, however, and we enter lame duck, we've got to be on guard because there are some policies out there, some bills out there, some things that maybe they're quiet now, but we always have to make sure that we're a good watchdog for bad policy by way of mandates, increased cost of doing business, regulatory compliance, liquor license reform. That governor, that's big for governor. And I think governor wants to see that get done before the new year. So what is that going to mean? Everybody has their own opinion about what it should mean. We want to make sure there's good balance in however that comes out.
And not to get overly political here, but there have been some electrical mandates relating to buildings, electric vehicles, offshore wind that have been bandied about by the Murphy administration, and it's going to impact residents and businesses. And you've heard some legislative leadership in this as we head towards Election Day kind of be like, we got to be careful about this. So do you think this is a legitimate concern for the policy, or is it just politics as usual?
So let's just say that the front office and the legislature aren't always on the same page, regardless, right? And so maybe they've just been a little bit more quiet while the governor was bringing his agenda out earlier, possible, and now they're stating their case, and it was the leadership. It was the leadership.
Yes, it was.
The head of both houses, kind of came out and said, whoa, can't do that. Many would agree with that position, right? But I also think is a little bit of political posturing because of the affordability factor. Let's go back to, we all woke up the day after the last election, now almost 2 years ago. What was the first word that our legislators who were elected said that next day. Affordability.
Yeah.
We need to take up kitchen table issues,
Yeah.
and affordability will be, all of a sudden, here they are 2 years later on the eve of election, and they see something like that, and they go, yeah, that might not jive with affordability.
Yeah, well, and I think you can make the statement since then, they have tried to address affordability for residents, but not necessarily for businesses.
So we've said the last 2 years, let's define affordability. And it means something different for a resident, a consumer, right, than it does for a business owner, a business.
So we'll be hitting this lame duck session after Election Day, right through January. You've lived through these things before. What do you expect? I mean, is it going to be nuts? There's a lot of legislators who are retiring.
Yeah.
So what does that mean this winter?
So, I mean, people are going to have agendas that they want to get done, and it's the perfect time to do it. And that's why we have to be so mindful.
Right.
And we have to make sure that we keep our ear to the grindstone and that we are sitting at every table. And the beautiful thing, and thank you to our legislature in particular, because their door is always open. They reach out to us for good research to support the things they're doing. We don't always agree on the same policy at the end, right? But they appreciate what we do and they invite us in for conversation. So look, here's how it's going to go down. There's going to be things that are going to happen we're not going to like. We'll be in there to best mitigate those things. There'll probably be some other things that we can stop. And maybe we got a couple of footballs we want to get across the goal line too.
Yeah, so the same for everybody. Going back to CBT and lame duck, any concern that this sunset may not happen if revenues aren't what they might be by the end of the year?
So again, because there's surplus in the budget, certainly, that would be the first thing we'd say is, hey, that's what surplus is there for, rainy day, right? I think this is just my shot, right? I think we're going to be okay for December 31st. My concern is as we start preparing next year's budget, and I truly believe the next round of elections and then going into 2025 is going to be a challenge.
All right. We'll pivot to the last subject today, Michele. The 9th annual Women Business Leaders Forum, powered by NJBIA, is coming up September 27th and September 28th at Newark Liberty International Airport. This is the largest women's business conference in the state every year. So I wanted to ask you, Michele, this will be your 9th one. What do you get out of this? I mean, how great is it when you're emceeing this thing to see all the people get together?
So I'm going to do a quick flashback to the first year when we just kind of tossed this up and let's see where it goes. We had, I think, 150-ish, and we thought that was successful. Last year we had shy of 500. Right? The energy and the momentum in the room, when you stand in front of an audience and you see the sea of diversity in the room, and you feel like the roof raising because the energy is dynamic. What I love the most is we have our senior executive women interfacing with our up-and-coming rising stars, all different levels in a corporate world, sitting around the table in addition to entrepreneurs, and they're sharing ideas. And the senior women are sitting there listening to the ideas of the next generation, and then they're thinking about how do I reach back and bring that next generation up. Right. And our women's leadership has always been about building hardcore leadership skills and then creating visibility for the women who have it. And I can't overemphasize the fact that there are so many women in the state of New Jersey that have it, right? We have to get those women rising up to the C-suite in the boardroom.
Very good. Well, we encourage everybody to go join you, rub shoulders with Michele Siekerka. It's a dream for everyone, and you do a great job emceeing it. So
can't wait. Hope we see everybody there.
Yeah, and thank you for being back on the show.
Anytime. Thank you.
All right, we'll be back right after these words.
Treasury management is very unique at PPAC Gladstone Bank because we are empowered to do the right thing for our clients every day. Some examples of products that we provide are remote deposit, ACH, online banking, and online wires. The most important solution that we offer at the bank would be fraud prevention services. This service allows clients to detect fraud before the transaction even hits their account, which ultimately results in saving clients a lot of time and money. Our service is designed and customized by each client, and what comes along with that is 24-hour client service. You won't find that at much larger institutions, the attention that we can give to our clients. Not only are these products state-of-the-art, but they're also at the client's fingertips and can compete with any of the large institutions.
We are made to connect. Stepping into limitless possibilities. As we create with purpose, influencing the culture as we rise. contributing to a world of inspiration.
We are Black Future Makers.
Welcome back to NJBIA's Minding Your Business. I'm Bob Considine. Well, the 9th Annual Women Business Leaders Forum, powered by NJBIA, takes place on September 27th and September 28th. This is the state's largest women business networking event, featuring more than 50 speakers and panelists who seek to inspire and empower. And we're thrilled to have two of them with us today. Lue Raia is the president of ALEXENA Consulting, and Shell Bobev is the founder of Disrupt the Gap. Ladies, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
All right, so we want to talk about the Women's Business Leaders event, but let's talk about you guys first. Your businesses, ALEXENA Consulting, Jackie. What is it? What do you do with it?
So it was originally established back in 2017, geared to workforce development, and it has morphed into recently, since COVID, since all the unrest, a diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging engagement practice. That's mostly what I'm doing right now.
And what made you start it?
So interestingly enough, for the past 25 years of my career, I've been doing cultural competency work, if you will. And with all of the unrest and everything going on, the need was absolutely there. Yeah, as a corporate liaison in a number of my positions, one of the things, even prior to the last couple of years, that companies were looking for was cultural competency training to create environments of comfort, engagement, and now belonging.
Yeah.
Very critically important.
Very important. Shell, Disrupt the Gap. What's this about?
Disrupt the Gap is a wage equality platform, and it's a multi-front disruption of pay gaps. So for example, one of the fronts of disruption is providing education and advocacy for individuals that are working or preparing to enter the workforce. Another major front of disruption is helping organizations, employers do their part. That could be preparing with compensation practices, pay equality audits, training, and another branch is thought leadership. So engaging with other change makers in different communities that could really bring this change forward.
Now, what made you get into this line of work, I guess? Personal experience?
Yeah, actually I did. Like many folks, I experienced a pay gap in my corporate career, something I wasn't prepared for. I did all the things that we tell women to do. Know your value, quantify the impact of your contributions, increase your credentials, just exceed all the expectations. And for years, I thought I could fix it on my own. After which it became clear that I had to seek legal representation. And eventually I had a multi-year journey through the legal process here in New Jersey to seek justice.
Wow.
And that experience didn't happen to me, that experience happened for me because it just opened up a calling to make one heck of a solution here.
Wow. Congratulations on your determination with that. That's really huge.
Thank you.
Jackie, the primary focus here is DEI with ALEXENA Consulting. Explain to me how it works in terms of you helping a business. Do they come to you first? Do you seek them out? How does it work?
Well, so I have been absolutely blessed with having a very powerful network that in most cases just know what the right thing to do is. And so much of it has been word of mouth. Much of it has been thanks to NJBIA and your networking capabilities and offerings for me. But it mostly is companies that I've known for quite some time, had some kind of relationship with, that just realize that there's something maybe not quite right that they want to address.
Like culturally, you're talking about?
Culturally, exactly. And they want to just create a place where not only people would want to stay, but people will talk about, come join us on our team, especially now with the resignations going on, and it's not who you know, it's not what you know, it's who you know these days. So they're looking for employees to say, do you know anybody who would be interested in coming and joining our organizations? And if you don't believe in your organization, you're not going to recommend them.
Right.
So.
Are there times where you have to have kind of uncomfortable conversations with these folks, like, hey, you're really lacking in your culture here, this is where you can improve? And how is that received?
So for the most part, like I said, most companies kind of know that something's not quite right, or that there's something that needs to be addressed. Not that it's quite right, but they can make it better. So what I do is all about uncomfortable conversations. And as I open up a lot of my sessions, this is going to be a session probably unlike any that you've ever been part of. So just get ready to be real, uncomfortable, and authentic.
I'm squirming in my seat as we speak. No, that's great, and I think we'll get to what you guys are going to discuss at the event. Shell, equitable compensation practices.
Yes.
Where are we now? I can read you some statistics. You could tell me if they're online or offline. Okay. This was from Forbes Gender Wage Gap Statistics. In 2022, women earned 17% less than men on average. Women earn just 82 cents for every dollar a man makes. And this one, I don't know how they came up with this, but a 20-year-old woman just starting full-time year-round work stands to lose more than $400,000 over a 40-year career compared to her male counterpart. What is the legitimacies of these statistics, and how much are things getting better?
So thank you so much for asking that question. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of misconceptions around what statistics to actually consider here. A lot of the statistics we hear, so for example, that women make 80 cents for every dollar that men earn, right. Those are based on total annual compensation. That's not looking at peers doing the same job. So for example, one of the more common jobs for men in America that can be well-paying is truck driving. And on the other side, a well-paying job that women often can do is nursing. Mm-hmm. And that would influence in one direction or another. Women take breaks from the workforce more than men for child care, for elder care. It is a concern when women, their total lifetime earnings are significantly less than men. Why? Women are twice as likely as men to be poor later in their life. But let's get more clarity here, because when we really need to understand gaps, we need to look at apples to apples, two peers in the same job. One of the studies I looked at is comparing tech salaries, and it found that same company, same job, women in tech could be offered anywhere from 4% less to 45% less.
Wow.
In New York City, the average is around 10%. So there can be gaps at the apples to apples level. And I want to also say that the source of gaps is also a more complex issue. Often enough, we think that gaps are only happening for nefarious reasons, bias, and
right.
They can.
Right, or even unconscious bias, right?
Exactly.
Right.
But also gaps can happen for other reasons. So for example, you could have somebody doing a job for many, many years, only getting a very small increase each year, and then you have a new person being hired into that role and having a higher starting salary.
Okay.
So gaps can happen for a variety of reasons, and men experience gaps as well. So thank you for the opportunity to shed some light.
Oh, you're welcome. This is great stuff. As you were talking, I was like, you've been through this journey yourself.
Yes.
And now when you're dealing with presumably mostly women when they come to you, are you able to share with them, you're going to get through this. It's going to get better.
Yes, absolutely. And one of the biggest components of the work that we do is mindset shifts. When you have experiences that where compensation is not equitable, it can deeply challenge your
right.
sense of worth, esteem,
right.
Conflict, all sorts of things. So in Disrupt the Gap workshops, we always have a segment about mindset shifts. I'll give one right now for those tuning in. When we think about advocating for ourselves, it can be a little scary, scarier than it might feel if we're advocating for somebody else.
Absolutely.
So one of the things that we do is we talk about externalizing your why. If you can imagine a future version of you plus 30 years, and wanting to make sure that she can be comfortable, or if you can externalize your why and think about what you'll do for your children, for the next generation, it makes it that much easier to advocate for yourself.
That's very, very interesting. Yeah, because it is your life, right?
Yes.
Let's pivot just real quick, Shell, on your particular panel that you're going to be dealing with salary negotiation and pay equity. So this is right up your alley. What kind of things do you think you're going to hear, and what will you want to impart to these folks who come to or during that conversation?
Well, we're going to have a lot of great information, and we will have information that will help individuals. How do you be your own advocate? Mm-hmm. We will also have a lot of information for employers, those in a leadership position, understanding the compliance landscape, understanding their contribution to this.
Right.
We'll also talk about the downstream implications of pay gaps. So not just at the individual level, what is the implication at the family level? For example, something that has come up is not just the increased cost of living that moms and families need to cover, but the increased cost of childcare. generational wealth. You know, when a woman is not earning at her full potential, imagine the amplification over her lifetime and what that might happen at the generational level. And then another angle to look at is at the community impact level. So here's another stat for you. If women's total annual compensation was the same as men in America, there would be an extra $500 billion in women's pockets. And women are twice as likely as men to spend money with their local community in local businesses. So imagine the economic impact in local communities.
Wow.
So those are just a few things that we'll cover. We've got an all-star panel, and it's going to be amazing.
And Jackie, both of you coached at our events before. What's that like? Jackie, you first, when you're actually coaching somebody one-on-one.
So, my coaching sessions are pretty much open, and it will be again this year, to what is it you need to talk about? What is rubbing you professionally, and sometimes not just professionally. It could be in your personal world as well, because the nature of my firm is that marrying both a professional and personal lives is very challenging, but so real, especially today. So it really is just come, let's talk about how you can bring your most authentic self to the table, and how, if you're running a company, how can you make that place of work the most engaging, celebrate your diversity, and make everyone feel like they belong. So all comers, so companies, individuals, whatever, I will be happy to speak to anyone just as I have done in the past.
All right, and Shell, what about you?
So last year I had a lot of folks come up to me throughout the event, specifically sharing things that they had experienced with their own compensation and seeking support. This year I'll also be supporting the organizations that are looking for support as well, understanding the business case, influencing decision makers as well. So I look forward to doing that.
That's great. And Jackie, I'm sorry I didn't go over your panel particularly, is secret and benefits of building a strong network. You mentioned at the outset the networking list you have, and a lot of his BIAs has helped you with that. So how huge is networking in the grand scheme of things?
If you don't know how to do it, learn, because it is the make or break of your career. It is the make or break of actually, even if you're looking for volunteer positions, because some of us now are thinking about retirement or working part-time, or stay-at-home moms want to volunteer and just have like their own meaningful time. Building that network just allows just so many options for you to go and say, all right, what do I want to do today? And I know someone in this nonprofit, food rescue, American Red Cross, motorcycle clubs, you name it. And in your network, you can say, all right, I would really enjoy doing this. I met someone at BIA, or I met someone back when I graduated college. Let me give them a ring. Let me search them on LinkedIn. Virtual networking, in-person networking, it is absolutely critical to any aspect of livelihood right now.
What do you get out of it personally when you're actually helping people? When you've done the coaching and you've left the day, you had a great interaction with somebody. Does that memory stick? Do you continue to work with them after the day?
The people that I have had one-on-one time with, and Shell, you could attest to this as well, they are just so filled with gratitude, because they're thinking things, but we are telling them, no, you're not wrong. You're absolutely right. So let's talk about it together. Let's make a plan for you to get to where you know you deserve to be. Not where you think you should be. You know you deserve to be there, and it goes well beyond salary, but salary is absolutely huge.
What about you, Shell?
For me, it's very affirming on a deeply personal level, because to be able to do this work is the result of a very long journey, a lot of internal work as well, and then to see such a positive impact on others' lives as the end result, I can't tell you how profound and beautiful that is. And I also make sure that we have a very practical impact as well. So I'll have some assessment tools available at the Disrupt the Gap table for those organizations that are looking to see where they stand with their compensation practices.
Very good. Well, for my part, the NJBIA's 9th annual Women Business Leaders Forum, for my part, the expense of going there is worth seeing you guys just by yourself. But there's 48 other panelists and speakers, so we recommend you go check it out. Go to njbia.org and go register for the event. Jackie Lue Raia, Shell Bobev, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Bob.
All right, and thank you for joining us at NJBIA's Minding Your Business. We'll see you next time.